What's up guys, this is VinylicPuma, back with another Fallout 4 countdown, and today I want to go over 10 of what I think are among some of the best armors in Fallout 4. Now before we start, and as you can see from this video's title, this video is going to be combining multiple different armor types together, ranging from power armor to armored outfits to even standard armor pieces. That's obviously a lot of variety, and because all of these armors are so radically different from one another, when it's coming to rankings, I'm generally prioritizing the best resistances at lower weights. Also, keep in mind that each item on this list is being judged by itself, and you may find that combining some of them together may yield superior overall resistances when compared to the other entries by themselves. But without further ado, these are 10 of what I think are among the best armors in Fallout 4, starting now. Number 10. Operator Heavy / Disciple Metal Armors. Now, it was a tough choice between the two, and I ultimately decided to include both of these. However, if it were just me, I would have decided to go with the Operator's Heavy Armor due to its more balanced resistances overall. And to give you some idea of just how close both of these armors are, the Operator and Disciple's armor weigh the same with and without the Ultralight mod, and both should clock in at around the same value before any upgrades. The only real difference between the two is when it comes to resistances. The improved Operator's Heavy Armor provides a combined 153 damage and energy resistance, while improved Disciple's Metal Armor should provide a combined 148 damage and 166 energy resistance. At that point, the question of which of these two is the better armor really depends on the situation. The Disciple's Metal Armor might prove better against energy weapons, while the Operator's Heavy Armor may be more useful overall due to those even resistances. Obviously, to get these armors, your best bet is to loot them from dead members of their corresponding gang in the Nuke World DLC, and really which armor you end up using could vary depending on how you've completed the DLC. Number 9. Pack Heavy Armor. In addition to either the Operator's Heavy or Disciple's Metal Armor sets, the Pack Heavy Armor set is quite good for different reasons. While it doesn't provide quite as high damage and energy resistance as the other two, the pack armor has the advantage of being significantly lighter. And for the sake of comparison, both the Operator's Heavy and Disciple's Metal Armor clock in at about 49.8 pounds, provided all pieces are upgraded to improved and have the ultralight mod installed. If the same thing is done with the pack armor will weigh 27.2 pounds, which is almost half of what the other two weigh. While I will admit that the resistances aren't quite as high on the pack armor, you have to consider that you're getting far more resistances per pound than you would with the other two armors. So if getting the best defense per pound is important to you, then I would recommend the pack armor over the Operator Heavy or Disciple Metal armors. Like the Operator and Disciple armors though, your best bet for acquiring this armor is to loot it from members of the Pack Gang in the Nuke World DLC. This will obviously be easier or more difficult depending on what Nuke World gangs ally with you at the DLC's conclusion, but if you can obtain this armor, it's possibly the best of what the 3 Nuke World gangs have to offer. Number 8. MAXSON'S Battlecoat. Aside from looking pretty cool, MAXSON'S Battlecoat is actually a pretty great armor outfit. While it lacks energy resistance entirely in its base form, it has fairly high damage resistance and provides the player with a +1 boost to perception. However, the best part about this armor is that the Ballistic Weave mod can be applied, which will bring up the Battlecoat's defenses to 160 damage resistance and 110 energy resistance when fully upgraded. And to give you some idea, this is far better than many of the other armor outfits like the Operator's Armored Dress or Gage's Armor, which tend to be popular choices among players that want a nice armored outfit. I would say the only armored outfit that's really got an edge on the Ballistic Weave MAXSON'S Battlecoats is the Railroad Armored Coat Mark V, which does have superior energy resistance. However, at more than double the weight, I think you'll find that it might be worth it to forgo the additional 40 energy resistance and 10 rad resistance for an armor that weighs more than half as much and also provides considerably more damage resistance. Fortunately or unfortunately, the only way to obtain this armor outfit is to defeat and loot it from Elder Maxson. Pickpocketing him doesn't work, so if you want this armor, you're more than likely going to obtain it in a playthrough where you don't side with the Brotherhood of Steel. Number 7. T51 Power Armor. Despite T60 being better and capable of providing superior defensive capabilities, I would recommend the T51 as a more practical choice. Not only are upgraded variants of T51 potentially on par with T60 pieces that have lower tier lining, but T51 also happens to be much cheaper to repair and upgrade. When it comes to repairs, T51 usually only requires steel for all of the armor pieces with the exception of the torso, while T60 armors not only require more steel, but also require much more uncommon crafting components like plastic or aluminum. And the same thing really goes for upgrades as well. T51 usually only requires aluminum, adhesive, circuitry, and nuclear material, while T60 requires many of these resources in much greater quantities, while also requiring uncommon components like rubber. As for acquiring T51 armor though, like most power armor, it is level dependent, and usually starts to show up once the player hits about level 12 to 15 or so. Alternatively, if you are having trouble finding a set, there are level-independent sets that can be found throughout multiple different locations in the Far Harbor DLC. One is found in the Vam Pop Factory, while another is found in a truck on the road north of the National Park Visitor Center. Number 6. The Mechanist's Armor. All in all, the Mechanist's armor set is quite possibly one of, if not the best armor sets in the game. Before any upgrades, the Mechanist's armor already boasts some of the highest damage and energy resistance available, with the suit itself clocking in at an impressive 72 in each area. Provided you add the helmet, you should hit around 85 damage and energy resistance, which is pretty decent. Plus, when you add in the fact that the Mechanist's armor reduces damage from robots while providing +1 to endurance, and the helmet provides +1 to charisma and intelligence, this armor in its base form is pretty hard to beat. Where the magic starts to happen though is when you add in a ballistic weave mod. Assuming you craft a Mark V ballistic weave onto the armor portion, you can increase the Mechanist's armor's base damage and energy resistance to as high as 182, and once you add the helmet back in, you can achieve an even more impressive 195 damage and energy resistance. Overall, I highly recommend this armor set, and if you want the Mechanist's armor, you can receive it upon completing the final quest from the Automatron DLC. You can either defeat the Mechanist and loot it from them, or you could simply receive it from them, provided you opt for a more diplomatic resolution. Number 5. The Silver Shroud Armor. While the hat doesn't provide any resistances, and the outfit's power changes depending on what level the player completed the Silver Shroud side quest, the Silver Shroud outfit has the potential to have the best resistances available at its weight. Clocking in at just about 7 pounds, the Silver Shroud outfit can achieve 87 damage and energy resistance, which I would say is pretty good. And while you may find that other armors can be lighter and provide superior resistances, the reason you would use the Silver Shroud armor is because of its ability to provide a +1 to agility and perception, as well as having a built-in Assassin's Legendary Armor effect, which will reduce damage the player takes from human enemies. Otherwise, if you want this armor, be sure to start the Silver Shroud side quest at level 45 or higher. Then you'll need to obtain the Silver Shroud costume from Huber's Comics and take it to Ken Connolly in Good Neighbor. From there, you'll need to progress through the Silver Shroud side quest until you're tasked to confront Sinjin, who has captured Kent, and provided that you can save Kent during the quest, he will upgrade your costume to its maximum potential. Number 4. Overboss Power Armor. While Raider power armor is traditionally pretty terrible, if not inferior to most other power armors that the player can obtain throughout the game, the Overboss armor added with the Nuka World DLC is actually quite good. In fact, you might be surprised to know that the Overboss armor shares similar resistance capabilities as a fully upgraded T51F. However, it has lower armor HP and significantly less flexibility when it comes to modifications. Specifically, you're not going to be able to add a jetpack to this thing if you want to. On the flip side of that though, the crafting resources needed to repair the Overboss armor are much lower and are actually more in line with regular Raider power armor. In fact, you can repair the entire armor set with 20 steel, which is insanely low when you consider the amount of defense this armor provides. What's also kind of neat about this armor is that the torso piece has this shocking effect which deals damage to enemies that are very close. And while this won't deal massive damage, it is a nice touch for an armor that has insanely low repair requirements for the amount of defense it provides. I also think it doesn't hurt that the OVERBOSS power armor is really easy to acquire, as all you really have to do is simply go to Nuka World and beat OVERBOSS Coulter with the water pistol at the very beginning of the DLC. And once you've defeated him, all you have to do is just loot it from him. Number 3. The military fatigues. In my humble opinion, when it comes to clothing that you can apply all armor pieces to, I think the military fatigues are the best. Not only can the military fatigues be modified for ballistic weave to achieve an impressive 110 damage and energy resistance, but you're also getting a small amount of inherent energy resistance as well as a +2 boost to agility, which arguably put this particular piece of clothing over similar items. With this said, it should be mentioned that choosing a piece of clothing to wear under your armor pieces will be somewhat build dependent. After all, a melee player might prefer the +1 boost to strength on the army fatigues, or you may like the +1 boost to luck from the tattered rags. However, I would say by itself, the military fatigues provide the best resistances once fully upgraded, and I think you'll find that the +2 to agility is very useful, as the increase to your action points is quite nice. If you're looking for this armor, try either high-level gunners or the vendor at Fallon's basement in Diamond City, as these tend to be the easiest ways to get your hands on some military fatigues. Number 2. The Green Rag Hat. When it comes to hats that you can perform the ballistic weave mod on, the Green Rag Hat is going to provide you with the best resistances overall, as it comes with an inherent 10 energy resistance to start. Once you've applied the ballistic weave mod, you should be able to achieve up to 110 damage and 120 energy resistance, which surpasses all of the other hats that are available in the game. The downside to the Green Rag Hat though is that it doesn't provide a boost to your special like the other ballistic weave compatible hats do. After all, the battered fedora provides +1 to luck, the trilby hat provides +1 to charisma, and the newsboy cap provides +1 to charisma while also being slightly lighter than the Green Rag Hat. So, depending on how you decide to build your character, you may find that one of these other 3 hats could prove to be more useful depending on your build. But like I said, your best bet when it comes to resistances / defense is going to be the Green Rag Hat, thanks to its inherent energy resistance. It should also be fairly easy to acquire this thing as well, as Green Rag hats can usually be purchased from Fallon's basement in Diamond City. Alternatively, be sure to check your sellers as well, as they often have a chance to wear this thing too. And to no one's surprise, number 1, the X01 Power Armor. I doubt this pick will be a surprise to anyone, but the X01 Power Armor is without a doubt the best power armor suit in the game. Not only is it capable of the highest resistances, but its individual components possess some of the highest armor HP of any power armor piece in the game. It's also got a pretty nice unique variant in the form of the Quantum X01 armor, which provides greatly increased action point refresh speed, provided all of the pieces are equipped. I think my biggest complaint with the X01 armor though are the repair costs. While you have superior armor health, these components can still break, and when they do, you're going to have to expend a fair amount of some semi-uncommon crafting resources like copper and aluminum. And that of course doesn't even take into account the additional steel you will need as well. Regardless of that fact though, the X01 Power Armor is the best power armor in the game, and if you want it, I'd say that your best bet is to either wait for level dependent sets to start spawning at level 28 and higher, or you can try the numerous sets that appear throughout the Nuka World DLC. For the Quantum X01 variant in particular, you'll need to acquire all 35 star cores that appear throughout the Nuka World DLC's various areas, and then place them into the computers that are located on the first floor of the starport Nuka. Alright guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular Fallout 4 Top 10. If you liked this video, feel free to leave a like, click the bell so you can be notified when we upload more videos, and as always, take care, and I'll see y'all next time.